management. In this chapter, we will define what they mean by human resources management, explain its significance, summarize the process of recruiting and selecting human resources for a company. تمام? Actually, in any business or any business need to achieve success, it must have sufficient number of employees who are qualified and motivated to perform the required duties. This meaning the need for managing the quantity from hiring to firing and the quality through training, compensating, and so on. تمام? In this chapter, we will focus on quantity and quality of human resources. So what do I mean by human resources management? Human resources management define as all the activity involved in determining an organization's human resources needs, as well as acquiring, training, and compensating people to fill those needs. تمام? So we define the human resources as labor and the physical and physical and mental abilities that people use to produce goods and services. Again, the human resources refer to all the activity involved in determining an organization's human resources need. تمام? So the human resources managers are concerned with maximizing the satisfaction of employee and motivating them to meet the organization objectives productively. تمام؟ In some companies, this function is called personal management. Actually, human resources management has increased in importance over the past few decades, in part because managers have developed a better understanding of human relations through the work of Maslow, Herzberg, and other researchers. And actually, employees today are concerned not only about how much is job pay, they are concerned also with the job satisfaction, personal performance, benefits, work environment. All of these issues are very important factors to satisfy them in the work. تمام? So, anybody have any questions? صباح يا شباب.
Thank you.
Okay. We need to discuss the planning for human resources need. What do you mean by plan? What do you mean by plan, صباح يا شباب? What do you think? What do you mean by plan?
تخطيط.
That mean what? Thanks, Umama, but that mean what? It is predicted process. Correct? That means you want to what? Hello. What do you mean by plan?
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, plan means predicting the future activities of human resources.
Yeah, thanks. In general, it's not just in human resources. Plan is any list of steps or any predict with details of timing and resources used to achieve an objective to do something. صح?
Yes.
So it's a method for doing or achieving something. And this method usually involving a series of actions or stage or something you have to arrange and to determine the current way, future way to achieve some goals. So when we talked about planning for human resources, it's related by planning and developing a strategy for reaching the organization's overall objective. So the company must consider whether it will have the human resources necessary to carry out its plan. After determining how many employees and what skills are needed to satisfy the overall plans, the human resources department actually give a lot of scenarios how many employees the company currently has and how many will be retaining or other ways leaving the organization during the planning period. تمام؟ As we said, the planning, it's forecasting how many qualified employees will need to be hired or determine if layoffs are required. Also forecast the availability of a future qualified hires, develops a strategy which may include outsourcing, automation, or temporary workers. تمام؟ After that, managers analyze the jobs within the organization. الوظيفة نفسها, the job. So they can match the human resources to the available assignment. This is related by a technique named job analysis. So job analysis determined through observation and study. Pertinent information about the job, the specific tasks that like knowledge, skills, ability necessary to perform it, the environment in which it will be performed. So managers use the information obtained through a job analysis to develop a job description and the job specifications. So result from a job analysis, job descriptions, and the job specification. تمام؟ So what is the difference between job description and job specifications? Look, a job description, it is a formal written explanation of a specific job that usually include the job title, a task to be performed, relationships with other jobs, physical and mental skills required, the duties, responsibilities, working conditions. So job seekers might turn to online website or database to help find job description for specific jobs. But the job specifications, it describes the qualification necessary for specific jobs, like education, experience, personal characteristics, physical characteristic. يعني look, the job description describes the job itself, but the job specification describes the person who will perform the job. تمام؟ So both the job description and job specification are used to develop a recruiting material such as a newspaper, literate publicant, and the online advertisement. تمام؟ Anybody have any questions?
It's clear, thank you.
تمام. After forecasting the firm's human resources need and comparing them to existing human resources, now the human resources manager should have general idea of how many new employees the firm need to hire. So it will start to recruiting and selecting a new employee. So what do I mean by recruiting? Recruiting. What do I mean by recruiting صبايا وشباب؟
تجنيد.
توظيف. تمام؟ That mean what? Forming a pool of qualified applicant from which management can select employee. تمام؟ So we have two sources from which to develop this pool of applicant. We have internal and external. يعني احنا هلا now في مرحلة التوظيف فيبدأوا يرشحوا ناس لشغل الوظائف. فاحنا في عنا two source. إما internally يعني من داخل المنظمة أو externally. Internal source include the current employee. External source include everyone outside the organization. تمام؟ So the external sources of applicant consist of advertisement in a newspaper, employment agencies, colleagues, a recommendation from current employee, competing firms, an online website, a social network like LinkedIn, internships. Many companies hires college student or recent graduate to low-paying internships that give them the opportunity to get hands-on experience on the job. تمام؟ A selection is the process of collecting information about applicant and using that information to decide which ones to hire. It includes the application itself, interviewing, testing, reference checking. This process can be quite lengthy and expensive. تمام؟ But if an organization finds the right employee through its recruiting and selection process, it will not have spent as much money later in recruiting, selecting, and training replacement employee. As we said, we have a lot of ways to make selections, like applications. The first stage of selection process, it is the application. So the individual fills out an application form and perhaps has a brief interview. Then the application form asks for the applicant name, address, telephone number, education, previous work experience. The goal of this stage of selection process is to get with the applicant and to weed out those who are obviously not qualified for the job. So the first stage in the selection process, it is the application. تمام؟ The second stage, it is an interview. So next phase of selection process involves interviewing applicant. We have some insight on finding the right work environment. Interview allow management to obtain detailed information about the applicant experience and skills, reasons for changing the jobs, latitude toward the jobs, and idea of whether the person would fit in with the company. Those are interviewing tips, like evaluate the work environment. Do employees seems to get along and work well in teams? Evaluate the attitude of employee. Are employees happy, tense, or overworked? Are employee enthusiasm and excited about their work? What is the organizational culture and what you feel comfortable working there? Tamam? This is very important tips in interview. In most questions asked during the interview, I want to ask you a question. Anybody make interview?
Yes, you mean did interview or conducted?
Yeah, did interview.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So in the interview, what the interviewer ask you?
He will ask me about my education and my background related to education or personal incident at work.
Huh? Yeah. What else?
He will ask some general questions about the personality and some questions specific for the job.
Thanks. What's your name?
Walid.
Walid. Okay, Walid. Look for these questions in this slide. Tell me about yourself. Why should I hire you? Please tell me about your future objectives. Has your education prepared you for your career? Have you been a team player? Did you encounter any conflict with your previous professors or employer? What are steps that you have taken to resolve this issue? What is your biggest weaknesses? How would your professors describe you? What are the qualities that a manager should possess? If you could turn back time, what would you change? How many questions from those questions you answered in the interview?
Yeah, mostly the interview I was conducted. It was a different kind of interview. They call it competency-based interview, but it combines all these questions.
Yeah, so in different way, but it's the same concept, صح?
Yes.
So I think it is a common questions in any interview. Tamam? So anybody have an interview must prepare himself in good way and expect what the questions the employer will ask the interviewer. Tamam? We have some mistakes made in interviewing. Like what? Like not taking the interview seriously, not dressing in appropriately way, not appropriate discussing experience, abilities, and education, being too modest about your accomplishments, talking too much concern about compensations, speaking negatively of former employer, not asking enough or appropriate questions, not showing the proper enthusiasm level, not engaging in appropriate follow-up to the interview. Mistakes candidates make in interviewing and sometimes actually give bad image about the interviewer. The interviewer can answer the applicant question about the requirements for the job, compensation, working condition, company policies, organizational culture. تمام? The third step after application, then interviewing, third phase of selecting it is testing. It's another step in the selection process. It is testing. That means this phase used to determine ability and performance to determine whether an applicant has the skills necessary for the job. تمام؟ Like the IQ test, the personality test, or another test related by the work itself or the job itself. We have many companies require an applicant to screen for illegal drug use. May also have undergo physical examination to determine their suitability for some jobs. So there are a lot types of testing depend on the work itself. We have also personality test. The personality test, it's very important test. It's to determine the personality issue related by the interviewer or the applicant, like the aptitude, the IQ or personality test. Also, we have the Myers-Briggs type indicator test is one of the most commonly used tests. So it is used worldwide by millions of people and used to assess the applicant or potential for a certain kind of the job. This is website for personality test. You can test yourself. Also, we have a reference checking. Before making a job offer, it is, I think, the fifth step in selection. Before making a job offer, the company should always check an applicant references. A reference checking usually involves verifying the educational background and the previous work experience. Actually, internet search is often done to determine social media activity or other public activity. The background checking is important because applicants may misrepresent themselves on their application or resumes. So, reference checking, it is very important. And sometimes the applicant overlooked the stage in the selection process. Actually, this is everything about this chapter. I think it's very easy chapter. But we have some top 10 resumes lies, like stretching dates of employment, inflating past accomplishments and skills, enhancing job titles and responsibility, educations and degrees, unexplained gaps and the period of self-employment, omitting past employment, faking credentials, providing fraudulent reference, or misrepresenting record. So reference checking is a vital and often overlooked stage in the selection process. And manager charged with hiring should be aware the many organizations will confirm only that an applicant is former employee. We have a lot of legal issues related by recruiting, but actually for this chapter, this is the required from you. So do you have anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Dr. Surah, I have a question, but it's not on the lecture. It's outside the lecture.
It's okay, fine. Yeah, it's okay, fine. What's your questions?
It's regarding the quiz and